And we're live.
I got no jokes today.
You got nothing, eh?
I got no joke. Got no jokes at all
What are you?
whatsoever.
What are you? The Raptors
Except,
offense
except
shooting blanks?
oh, shots fired. Skip, you got the jokes today. The only thing I can say is like you're an effing crybaby, which is what Kobe Bryant texted to Kevin Durant after he tore his Achilles. That's the only thing. But good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now, just know that you are locked in on To The Point with
Skip.
and the King. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, just for the audio, just so you can listen to us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and right now, YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us. And if not, you're bootlegging and you owe us some money. Skip, how you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing all right. I had a long day today, but I'm ready to bang it out. Let's do this.
Yeah, I've had a long freaking week. You guys could find me on Raptors Live TV. I've been on. You guys can find me on the Roach's Nest. You guys can after every game. I've been on. You found us on
The
Warrior
Roach's
Report.
Nest, is that what he's calling it now?
I don't know.
I like that though. I like that.
That's what I'm calling it. The Warriors Report, the Reese Report. You can find me on. So I've been pretty busy, Skip. But speaking of getting busy, whoo, the Raps have not been getting busy, dude. Their last few, I'd say probably 10 games. What are they? 3-7, and they haven't been looking too well. So, can you?
This is before the Knicks game, by the way. Before the Knicks game.
Yes, just before the Knicks game, because we want to get the hell out of here so we can go watch it. They're 3-7, but their shooting hasn't been that good versus their opponents.
Their shooting has been god awful. It's not that it hasn't been good.
Hold on a second. Lithuania. Yeah, can I speak to Arturus? Okay, thank you. Art, can you pull up that graphic, please? Thank you very much. Yeah, I love you too. Okay, peace. They haven't been doing that well, and there have been some holes within the roster. Now, Skip, can plus they're also a -3, which doesn't seem too bad when you look at it numbers wise, but there have been some games. And can you explain to me and all the other dummies out there, why the Raptors are 3-7?
Basically poor shooting and iso ball, and the Raptors can't score a basket in the half court to save their lives. They can't really score in general. The defense has sprung some holes. We're really seeing the weaknesses of the 6'9" concepts brought to life. I've talked about this at length at other episodes, so I'm not going to go too long. But I think it's pretty clear that there's some issues with this roster construction that are not going to get fixed without adding a center, without adding a shooter, at the very least, without maybe reconstructing the roster a little bit. And we're seeing kind of all the negatives of Vision 6-9 over the past 10 days and really 10 games and really month and a half, really.
That's an interesting take. I would honestly put that. I wouldn't say it's against the Vision 6-9. I would say maybe it's mainly against the coaching, because how to utilize it. Like, you got tools. What do you do with it? But that's neither here nor there. And apparently a lot of people on the internet will say I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about, but come find me. But Skip, we just recently witnessed that the Raptors waived Justin Champagnie. I'm very heartbroken about this, and I don't like this. But why? Can you explain to us why they waived him? Why?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, but the main one is he couldn't really. It just seemed like he couldn't stay healthy. He was hurt all summer. He was hurt in training camp. He eventually came back and played a few games in the G League showcase, and he looked pretty good. Like I thought of all the guys in the G League team, he was the one who had the most potential to have an impact on the big league roster. He's always been a pretty good offensive rebounder. He can shoot a little bit. He's got some of these little skill sets that you might want to see them ease into. Again, but with Vision 6-9, he was sort of more of a fit for Vision 6-9, and I think maybe what we're seeing is them zigging away from that, and saying like, no, we don't need a guy who can do a bunch of things and can shoot a little bit. We need to bring someone in who can shoot big time. So I think maybe they were just like, you know what, if he's going to be hurt anyway, let's open up this roster spot. Let's see what else we can do. Let's bring in some 10 days. Let's maybe open up, a little bit of flexibility for some potential trades if we end up going in that direction. So I think I was a little disappointed about Champagnie too. I really did think he had a shot, but it just wasn't going to happen clearly this year. And with the team struggles, I think they just decided, you know what, we're going to move on. But keep in mind, we've had this history of guys who come up through the Raptors developmental system and they show flashes, but they can't stick. They go to another team and suddenly they're a solid, contributor off the bench. Obviously, I'm thinking of Utah. I'm thinking of O'Shea Brissett.
Watanabe.
Exactly. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Justin maybe get healthy and go to another team and really excel. But for whatever reason, I think the Raptors had just decided we need some flexibility in that spot. If you're not going to be healthy, sorry, buddy.
Okay, honestly, Skip, I think it's unfortunate. Like, my sentiment is like, I really did like Justin Champagnie. I think he could have been part of the good young core of Scotty, Precious, Delano. I think he could have been a part of that because obviously time goes on, father time. Some of these players are going to be moving, they're going to be leaving. You got maybe the OG, maybe Chris Boucher being the veteran. But I think he could have been really good part of the young core, including Malachi Flynn as well, right? But the Raps did go out and get a 10-day contract on Joe. What's his name?
Joe
Wieskamp, right?
Josh. Okay.
Now,
Joe Wieskamp is the guy's name, by the way.
Joe Wieskamp. I know. I'm just messing with you. But because that's what I told you earlier. But do you think he's a valuable piece? Because he hasn't really shown much from what from his playing time. And do you think that he might be a valuable piece for the Raptors, or is he just a piece?
I mean, he's mostly just a warm body. Let's be real. You're not going to get an impact player on a 10-day contract at this time of the season. But he's a bit interesting, right? He's a guy who was drafted in the second round last year. He was taken 5 spots ahead of Dalano Banton. He's a shooting guard, kind of a wing type of player. Didn't really do much for the Spurs last year at all. Just really low averages. Only 7 minutes a game. I think it was like 2 points a game. But
7.1 minutes a game, 7.1 minutes and 2.1 points per game.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't have the numbers right in front of me. Basically didn't show out too much on the Spurs last year. Ended up getting cut in training camp this year. So he's a guy that went out and he was actually the number 2 pick in the G League draft this year. And at the G League Showcase, he actually showed out a little bit. He got to play 28 minutes a game. He averaged 17 points. He shot 40% from 3. And I think that 40% from 3 is the key here. And that was, I think, on 6 or 7 attempts per game. Let me see. I'll pull it up here. So that was on...
Well, with the Spurs, he only averaged 32.6, which is not bad.
Yeah. So, but this is a much larger sample set. So 6.3 attempts per game in the G League showcase, and he shot 40%. So I think that's what you're looking at here is the Raptors were like, obviously they were scouting the G League showcase, and he was a guy that caught their eye that they thought, let's bring him in. Let's bring in just a little bit of shooting off the bench. Now I thought one of the more interesting things about this is when we were prepping for this episode, the Raptors hadn't made this signing yet. So I was looking around sort of for some potential 10-day contract signings. And the interesting thing is one of the names was Sterling Brown, who's on the Raptors 905, who was on the Raptors 905 and was shooting, again, a reasonable high percentage, reasonable high volume from three. A guy who has some NBA experience with the Bucks, right? A guy who's obviously, we all remember from that altercation with the Milwaukee police a few years back. So he had been with the Raptors 905, and I thought that's the guy that makes the most sense for the Raptors to sign. And then earlier today, the news breaks that the Lakers signed him to a 10-day contract. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Who are the Raptors going to sign then if they're not taking Sterling Brown? And we got our answer. Obviously, I guess they liked Wieskamp more, even though Sterling was on the Raptors 905 roster already. And another candidate that I was sort of looking at was, we remember him from training camp, obviously, Gabe Brown. Was hit some threes in training camp, was one of the 905's more prolific three-point shooters. Again, the 905 are almost as bad from three as the Raptors are. Like, this is not, you're not really going down to that roster and looking and seeing a million three-point shooters who can come and fix the problems. But the two guys on that roster that would have helped were Sterling Brown and Gabe Brown. And it's interesting that they went outside the organization and decided to sign Wieskamp instead. So it's a 10-day, it's a trial. I don't see him getting huge minutes. I don't even really know if he's going to play over Jeff Doughton at this point. But it makes sense on a 10-day to maybe get him a little bit of run, because you got to see if he's got anything in the bag. See if you want to bring him back for a second 10-day, to see if you want to sign him to a rest of the season contract, see if he's worth that. But yeah, all in all, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say this guy's going to be the impact guy who's going to change the season. It's just that the Raptors are such a poor shooting three-point team that I think there's room for anybody to come in off the street and carve out a role in this team. You can shoot better than Malachi Flynn. You can shoot better than Jeff Doughton. Then yeah, I mean, get some minutes.
Okay, Skip. He looks like a good fit for the Raptors. Mm-hmm. Maybe not beautiful, but speaking of looking good, how am I doing today, man?
You're looking sexy.
Okay. And you know why? It's because of WeDoLaundry.ca. They come to your door, they pick up your clothing, they wash, they fold, they dry it, they bring it right back to you. And if you use the promo code tothepoint, you get 5% off. And that's all you guys really need to do, because that's how I roll. You want to look as fresh as your boy? Do that. Now, Skip, you just mentioned something about three-point shooting coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the lack in the Raptors' three-point shooting? Because as of this recording, the last game we saw versus Milwaukee, oh my God, what the hell was that? It was only Gary Trent that held it down at the end of the game, dude.
Well, Trent hit the two big threes at the end, but if you look at the end of the game stats, Trent and VanVleet both had horrific shooting nights. Everyone on the team had a horrific shooting night against the Bucks. That was one of the crazier, uglier, weirder games I've ever seen. That just threw me for a total loop. But
I'm used to that from the 90s, bro.
Yeah, that was a 90s game. It was.
Now, my question to you, Skip. Okay, now that we got Wieskamp, right? On a 10-day, but just to fill that roster spot. Do you think that this could be part of Masai? You know, he's always thinking like 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Do you think this could be part of something that he can use, right? And maybe just that roster spot just to maybe make an impactful trade? because, like you said, Wieskamp is not an impactful player.
No.
You can just bring him out. But do you think that he can? This can be part of his motive and part of his way to get an impactful player to propel the Raptors to get to a higher spot in the Eastern Conference, which is very, very tough. Look, Giannis manhandled them, and he had no help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, take a sip.
I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. Actually, I didn't know you were done. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. So I think I forgot to mention when we were talking about waiving Champagnie. One of the reasons they did waive Champagnie when they did was that his contract was about to become guaranteed for the rest of the season. So they wanted to clear that tiny little bit of cap room. So there is maybe some room to add another contract there down the road. But I think the more important thing is they're using that contract on 10 days right now, because with the trade deadline coming up in whatever it is, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, you may need that roster flexibility, not so much for a buy trade, but more for a sell trade, right? So if you're looking at a guy like Fred VanVleet, if you're looking at trading a guy like Fred VanVleet, maybe the team that's acquiring him doesn't have a $21 million player to send back. Maybe they have two $10 million players to send back. So suddenly you take on those two $10 million players, you're going to need a roster spot. Even if you're going to waive one of them.
That's what I'm going.
Even if you're going to waive one of them, even if it's just literally like getting a body back in to make the money work, you still need that to clear that roster spot first. And so I think maybe they decided, okay, we're not going forward with Champagnie, so why not clear that roster space now so we don't have to guarantee his contract and then cut him anyway. So I think that's sort of, maybe it's not really big brain stuff, but that might have been a consideration. And so what you do here is you bring in like a 10-day like Wieskamp, just to have a look at him, right? You know, maybe see if he's any good. You're not really planning to sign him to a rest of season contract right away, but you're just going to kind of have a look at him. Maybe look at him now. If he impresses, then maybe you wait till after the trade deadline and you clear a roster spot for him or something like that. So I don't think it's a masterful, crazy like impact type of thing, but I think there are roster considerations to be had here, and I think that might have gone into these decisions. And I think that's why you probably won't see them sign anything more than a 10-day until after the trade deadline.
Those are some great points right there. I agree with you, because I think that honestly, Masai is cooking something.
Mm-hmm.
He's got something on that slow burner that he's looking at, and I think this might be strategically a move to make an impact later on to get the Raptors further. Now, Skip, I'm going off script here.
Sure.
Man, if you were to trade for somebody before this roster spot got filled, if not even trade, if you were just to sign somebody, who would you have signed before Wieskamp got on?
That's a good question, actually, because I did do a little bit of research onto this. But it's interesting because you look up and down. I was looking at some of the free agents that are out there, and you see all the familiar names, right? You see all the guys who are NBA vets who kind of just washed out of the league or just didn't get a contract this year. I'm thinking of guys, well, Melo, but like I'm thinking of guys even like DeMarcus Cousins. I got a few more names here. Let me just pull them up real quick. You got Derek Favors out there. You got Enes Kanter. You got even like Eric Bledsoe is playing in China right now. Like he's probably better than Malachi Flynn if we're being real. Avery Bradley's out there. We even got some old friends like DJ Wilson, Bembry. So these were a few, and also the two centers that just got traded and just got waived. Vonleh and Dang. Noah Vonleh and Gorjai Dang for San Antonio. San Antonio acquired Vonleh and waived him, and in the process they had to waive Dang. So I was kind of like looking at it, just take a step back. Again, we keep going on and on. The Raptors need a center, the Raptors need a shooter. Now, the question is, are you going to get a center at this time of the offseason, at this time of the regular season, that's going to make an impact? Like, because what you don't need a bench center, you don't need a fourth string center. What you need is a center. Like, you need a top 10 big man in the league. So that's not going to be out there right now. So that's the only guy who might fill that role is like maybe DeMarcus Cousins for a minute, but like we all know he's washed. So that's not out there. So that's why it made more sense for them to sort of shift their focus. All right, we need a shooter. And I think at this point in the season, it's kind of like maybe if the Raptors were 5-10 games better, there is an argument that you go out and you get like an Eric Bledsoe, who's not a great player by any stretch. There's a reason he's not in the league, but probably a better backup guard than whoever they have right now. But with the Raptors being 5-6 games under 500, they have to go in the other direction. They have to start looking at like, all right, let's find a recent draft pick who didn't work out. Let's find someone who's 22, 23. And that's why they kind of went in this direction with...
Don't get Greg Oden.
With Wieskamp. I said a recent draft pick. What are you talking about? Greg Oden's older than us.
Actually, no, he's not.
Yeah,
he's
not literally. But that's why you go and you chase down like a second round pick who got cut in Wieskamp, or someone who just didn't work out, who's still very young and still has some developmental curve ahead of them. So I think that's why they went in the direction they did versus like some of the names that were out there, because all the names that are out there, they washed out of the league for one reason or another. Most of them probably aren't great on defense. Some of them, have other holes in their game. Some of them have injury histories. This is not the time for the Raptors to go out and get a guy like that. I think they were just like, let's take a look at a young guy and we'll see where it goes from there.
Okay. Honestly, I think the Wieskamp signing, okay.
Yeah, right? It's a whole lot of mess. It's not going to change the season overnight.
I don't think it's going to propel them up in the standings. I think it's just, like you said, a warm body, like someone to cuddle with for that night.
The shooting is why they like him. But I mean, that said, he's not going to be a guy that's playing 20 minutes a night. We're talking like maybe he'll get a 5-minute stretch to make a couple shots.
Yeah, if some of the current squad, they can't really fit in with Nurse's rotation, how's he going to fit in? Maybe he could jump in here and there. But I have one last question for you, Skip. Just one last question before we get out of here. What are we going to do about the coaching?
I don't think anything's going to change in the season. I think there might be a discussion after the season. I think, look, you can put some of this on the coaching staff. I think there is some discord in the locker room. There is some confusion around roles, and I think a different coach might be able to fix that. But bottom line, this is a roster construction issue right now, and there's only so much the coaching staff can do about that.
Oh wait, Skip, I got one more question for you. One more. Sorry,
what?
I just thought of it.
How many one mores we got?
Apparently, the Raptors are the first domino to fall for any changes in any of the rosters. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
And apparently, what teams are asking the Raptors for is the word is astronomical.
No, what the Raptors are demanding for other teams is astronomical. That's what you're trying to say.
Astronomical. So, what do you think about that, man?
Well, I think it makes sense to have if you're going to trade some of your core pieces, some of the pieces you want to build around, even as much as this experiment might not be working out this year, I think the Raptors still are really high on these individual players, especially OG Anunoby, especially Pascal, especially Scotty Barnes, and I don't think those three are going to be easy to move.
They're going nowhere.
Yeah, so those guys are going to be absolutely astronomical in the asking prices. But even with the other guys in the roster, I think it makes sense to set a hard line early and negotiate hard, because they can always say, we can run it back next year. We think we'll be better. We think Scotty will develop. We think this. We think that. They're not in a position where they absolutely need to just completely abandon ship. Now, I do think they're thinking really hard about retooling. I do think they're really looking at trades. But this isn't a situation where you just have to.
Sorry, Mom. Freddie might go.
Yeah, this isn't a situation where you just have to take the very first thing that comes across your desk. That said, I think they're going to be looking really hard at making some changes, and they may come down to their asking price on some of these guys. But you want to win a trade. You don't want to go in there and just get your ass handed to you. So I think it's fair for them to negotiate just to negotiate hard. Like they still have some leverage here.
They definitely do, but like you said, the core pieces: Pascal, OG, Scotty.
Yeah,
going nowhere. But low-hanging fruit could be Freddie and Gary Trent.
Yeah, those are the names that we keep hearing over and over again. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see where it goes. Wait, I don't want to get into this. This is a whole other episode. I don't want to get deep on this, but
we'll hear about that. But basically, it just came down to Wieskamp, like his acquisition from the Toronto Raptors, that maybe this can spark something with trade value and roster spots. So, Skip, do you have anything left that you would like to say to the lovely ladies and gentlemen out there?
No. I mean, I think just get ready.
You're gonna deny them
for an interesting. Let's get it ready for an interesting second half. I think this is probably not the last guy we're gonna see on a 10-day contract for the rest of the year, but we'll see.
Okay, cool, brother. We'll talk soon, guys. We hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you guys enjoy our next video, which is our 4-year anniversary, which we will be posting on the day of our anniversary. Skip, I love you, brother. So guys, you know what to do. Go down there, follow us anywhere, and thank you for appreciating us on the Warwick Report, on the Reach Report, on Raptors Live TV at night. Thank you guys for enjoying us and applauding us. We really do appreciate it, and it really feels very good. So on behalf of myself and the skipper, and unfortunately we don't have any of our great guests tonight, but good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.